Well, in an hour we'll be live from the Weedon Depot talking to its owner, but joining us now on the phone is the architect for the project, Paul Vick from Paul Vick Architects. Its past legacy well known then, Paul, but what of the future?
Good morning. The future, indeed, I mean, it's got a wonderful past that we can still use for the future, really, and I think that little outtake you had with the photographer says a lot. I mean, the canal that was diverted from the Grand Canal in the early 19th century to bring arms down from Birmingham, I mean, is still evident and is very clear up the middle of the depot. And then they built 8 large buildings either side, and these are all very usable and very beautiful buildings. So I think that'll allow more shops, offices. They've already got high-speed broadband. So, what a wonderful, amazing place, really, to have your workplace, and then for the public to obviously to come in and enjoy that retail. So I think that's one element that is, fantastic. On the periphery, there's the opportunity for housing. Some of the bits of the site have just gone completely now. There's just concrete bases on one bit. So we're proposing some low-energy housing there, and locally I know there's a need. And then on the lower land, which again is very poorly used, partly derelict, and, the local plan sees that, the future of the area has a need for care homes, more elderly living, and the idea is to have both a care home and what we call close care homes. So they're independent homes, again, low energy, low eco footprint, that has the services of a care home if it needs it, but to live longer, it's shown that if you have a place of your own and you're familiar with it, then that is beneficial. So I think it'll be absolutely wonderful, and that gives us the opportunity then also to repair the most significant historical elements. So those main buildings, the canal, and this big wall that goes around that's very, very visible today, both outside and inside the site.
So the businesses that are there at the moment, they will remain, will they?
Yes, and there'll be more. So in the last year, I think the number of tenants has gone from like 5 to 75 people. So there are more jobs being created all the time. We had a local presentation to the local council recently, and one of the questions was, how does the actual building work in the future affect people? And actually the work being around the edge mostly won't really affect them. I mean, when it was demilitarized about 50 years ago, it became light industrial in use, and that's how it's designated at the moment. So there's been a lot of HGVs locally, and we've been reducing those bit by bit, and we'll see more of those being reduced as well.
And this sort of renewal and renovation, it can lift an area, I suppose, and the people that live and work around it. Yes,
and we definitely want to see it. I mean, since it was first, made in the first 19th century, it was fields around it, and there was another store which had explosives in it, separated, because if that went off, the rest of the depot wouldn't be affected. And then on the north were fields and a barrack sort of area. That's all now housing. So there's housing on 3 sides of this site. Obviously, they used to bring artillery in by horse. So, the nature of infrastructure has changed. Canals aren't used in the same way. There were trains that were once brought into the site. That's changed. So, so the nature of the society around this area has changed fundamentally, and the needs for it. So I really, I think there'll be a lot, and we can use the best of the past, if you like, to provide a great, interesting future, a future legacy, based on its past legacy. And that's different, but it's something that's very complementary to looking after the historic buildings and, it's enjoyment.
And the canal basin, the huge walls, they're almost 15 feet high, aren't they? They will remain, will they?
Yes, absolutely, and they'll be repaired. And some of the major repairs were started already, and Historic England have given some money to start that process, so that's very positive. And the Heritage Lottery Fund have given some money towards a new visitor centre as well to encourage this. So,
Very good of you to talk to us this morning, Paul. Thank you. Paul Vick from Paul Vick Architects, and as I say, in an hour we'll be live from the Weedon Depot.